Best player I've ever seen in your life, huh?
Best player I've ever witnessed play this game, man. And Rich, Tom Brady is the GOAT. That he is the greatest of all time. And those are two different things for me. Just because of the amount of championships and longevity, Patrick is the best player I've ever seen in my life. And the last 2 years have completely solidified that. Certainly this Super Bowl run, man. It's an awesome. I get asked like, "Oh, you get to call a Super Bowl," and part of me is like, "Oh, I don't want to like downplay it," but I'm like, "Yeah, it's the international feed, And then I had to check myself and be like, "No, no, dude, it's the Super Bowl." At some point, you're gonna lie in your deathbed and be like, "Dude, you called Patrick Mahomes as Super Bowls," and so it was it's been cool to just witness, man. I'm such a fan of the guy.
And so what do you think makes him that special?
Rich, I've always said that he was born with this very unique ability. There is a God-given talent there. Obviously the athleticism and the throws or whatnot. I don't know if this is an actual fact. It's an assumption by me. If so, I think the best thing that his parents ever did for him was not get him private quarterback training. They never took the special away. They never took the unique away, the raw away. And that's the stuff that has allowed him to play at such a, incredible level early on in his career in some of those plays. And then, I think when he got into the league and sat for that year and learned under Alex and Andy Reid and just watched and visualized, and then he got that immediate taste of success. I think that sparked something inside of him that he probably did not even know of how great he could be, how great this journey could become. And then I think the reality is everything is slow for him. The competitive greatness makes everything slow around him. And, he's just a joy to get to watch.
And the whole country, the whole world got to see it, obviously, through your feed as well.
Yeah.
So, the only question you can have by watching this is how many more, right? I mean, is that fair to even say right now? How many more to go for him?
Of course, it's. I don't know, like fair. We have no other reason to think otherwise. We don't. Like, what else should we? Other than, we have to, and this, like we have to appreciate it in the moment. We have to appreciate this young man and the organization, the team. But yeah, naturally, we're going to start to ask ourselves, like, can he really chase down what's impossible to chase down? And if he continues to stay motivated the way that it sounds and focused on that long-term goal, I'm not doubting him. One of the reasons why I took them to win the game was like I've picked against them twice in my life and I was wrong both. And so, I think if he stays focused on that, and Brett Veach and Andy Reid, Brett Veach, their general manager, Rich, they've drafted since 2019, which is that year they won their first Super Bowl, or his first Super Bowl. I think they've drafted something like 6 or 7 starters on defense. 3 other guys that are like relatively important parts of their defense. They play super important minutes. So we're talking about an organization that's got a pretty good feel for how to build roster post quarterback got paid. And so, yeah, I don't put 7 past him. I think he gets to 5. That's kind of the number I've been set on, but I think he can get to 7 for sure.
Yeah, because at some point, like, let's just say he plays as long as Brady, or at least another 12 years, right? The Brady-Belichick 2001 to 2019, that's 18 years. That would be 12 more years for him. At some point, Reed, we assume, would step away, and Kelsey wouldn't be there. He'd have to find his Gronk, right? He'd have to find, or I guess he's playing with his Gronk now. He'd have to find something else. And so, that's obviously down the road. But if I'm Brett Veach, I say, screw it. Whatever you got to do to win it next year, because you could take yourselves in this franchise and just put it up one more level by saying we're the only ones to go back to back to back. We're the only ones to do it. And, that would mean, I guess, paying Jones and paying Snead and figuring out how to keep that Rubik's Cube working. But that's what I would do, Dan, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Chris is a paramount part of that. I mean, Chris Jones, again, I don't want to speak in hyperbole, Rich. I don't know how many, like I keep talking about this organization, big game. Big game Chris Jones is different. We've seen a lot of great defensive linemen, come through the NFL, certainly over the past 2-3 decades. I've only been a part of it for the past 2 decades or so. I'm trying to rack my brain around a better big game interior defense, Aaron Donald, but like Chris has been in more. Just every big game, he changes it, man. The pendulum swings in favor of Kansas City because Chris Jones is in it. And so I think keeping him is a big part of it. L'Jarius Sneed, you can make the case, is the best man-to-man cover corner in football. He's certainly one of the top 3 or 4, one of the best tacklers as well. They're going to have to figure out what to do at left tackle, maybe add a perimeter player, but there's not many holes. That's the reality.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.